Hey, good day. We're back again, and I'm just trying to adjust some things here. All right, hopefully that's good. Yeah, wow, day 26, day 26 in the books, Proverbs 26. And today is talking about, how can we have wisdom in not getting into quarrels or avoiding quarrels, conflict. And I was kind of talking about that with someone else today, and which was a good conversation. But man, oh man, Michael Dalton was on again today, and he was just dropping wisdom bombs left and right. Always good to have Michael Dalton on, and man, if you can look him up YouTube and Facebook, do it. You won't regret it. He always has some great stuff on Wednesdays, and there was a special surprise today about Michael Dalton and Wisdom Seekers, which is super awesome. Such a blessing. So how can we avoid conflict or use wisdom? So I like in chapter 26, where is it at? It's here in verse 17. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in here talking about avoiding conflict, but this one here, it's kind of like about today's day and age. You'll see. It says here, verse 17, a person who is passing by and meddles in a quarrel that's not his is like the one grabs a dog by the ears. And verse 18, like a madman who throws flaming darts and deadly arrows. And it says, so is the man who deceives his neighbor and says, I was only joking. Well, going to the first part, one of the best ways to avoid conflict is to not get involved in one. And now there are certain conflicts, because it says up, further up at the beginning, it says, basically don't give fool trouble, but then answer a fool so he becomes wiser. So it's kind of like, almost like, two verses that are against themselves, but using wisdom. If we know someone is just being foolish and trying to get us riled up, which social media tries to do, there are actually people out there called clickbait, and they want to stir up some stuff. And guess what? You just spent maybe about 30 minutes wasting time arguing with somebody in social media, which they just wanted to argue with somebody so they can get those clicks, so they can get that. And then now you're all riled up, flustered, and all kinds of stuff like that because someone pulled you into their conflict. So one of the wisest things that we can do is like sometimes, we don't need to engage. I like to say, and one of the things in my upcoming book, I talk about picking your battles. Sometimes we need to avoid battles because those battles are there to just waste our time. Remember, it says like in John 10:10, the enemy comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Sometimes he likes to steal from us time by making us waste time on conflicts that are not necessary. And that is just, I had to learn that the hard way. When I was younger, and sometimes even now, I get caught up in like pointless arguments. And then like the person that I was trying to argue with, they got me, even though they might have been wrong. I got sucked in, and I'm the one losing sleep. So, because they sucked me in. So don't get sucked in. Don't get sucked into other people's troubles. Now, if it's, if God calls you to help somebody else out and they're not being a fool, just trying to suck you in, that's a different story. But the purpose is here, wisdom about knowing when to engage, knowing when not to engage. And I think that's really, really a cool thing because like I was talking to somebody earlier, like one of the things we can help us to have wisdom is like, hey, is this conflict going to glorify God? Or is it just going to detract from kingdom purposes? Is this conflict going to ruin the relationship or build a relationship? And that's just some of the questions that we need to ask God, ask Holy Spirit to give us wisdom and direction about whether we should engage or not engage. Does this person actually need wisdom or help? Or are they actually asking for wisdom and help? Are they earnestly seeking for help? Or is it just a conflict because they want to have a conflict and there's no beneficial outcome for anybody involved? So I think that was what I'm trying to synopsize some of the conversations. But, that was one of the big ahas, is like, man, we really need to engage wisdom to whether we need to enter into a conflict or we just need to avoid that conflict altogether, because it's not going to glorify God in any way, shape, or form. So hopefully that's a blessing to you guys. Yeah, and Michael Dalton has some other wonderful things too. He was talking about the difference between, I think Pedro was talking about this too, the difference between flattery and honor. And then, man, and to really understand the difference. Basically, flattery is a type of manipulation, but honor, it strengthens. When you honor somebody, it lends them strength. It points to the person that you're honoring, not yourself. So that was a big check right there about the differences. But yeah, that's my homework for today. Hopefully that blessed you, to give you some thoughts for consideration about entering into conflict, avoiding conflict, and the different areas that we need to be mindful of. Some of the questions, and just from gleaning from what Michael Dalton said, and then the reading of Proverbs, it reminded me of those things. Like, hey, sometimes it's, like it says in the beginning of the chapter, don't engage a fool, but sometimes we do need to engage a fool, lack of a better term, that's what it says in the Bible, to correct somebody. But we need to know the difference. We need to have wisdom about knowing when to engage, when not to engage. So God bless you guys. Have a wonderful rest of your night. And like I always tell folks, have a positive expectation of God's goodness in your life each and every day. God bless. See you tomorrow. Tomorrow is day 27. Blessings.